Hey friend, I hope you know this is Pat Boone, and you and I are enjoying TV Confidential with my buddy Ed.
Ed Robertson with a reminder that we will commemorate August 29th, the day the running stopped, the day on which the final episode of The Fugitive originally aired in 1967, by bringing you encore presentations of interviews with some of the actors who appeared on The Fugitive. That's coming up later on in the hour. In the meantime, we'll shift gears this segment as we welcome author, motivational speaker, and retired U.S. Army Airborne Ranger Barry Todd. In many respects, the story of Barry Todd is not unlike the story of Richard Kimball, the protagonist of The Fugitive. In February 2014, Barry's life was turned upside down when he found himself assaulted by a man outside a restaurant in Arizona after the man had confronted him inside the restaurant in Arizona. We'll get to that in just a second. Barry tried to defend himself from his attacker by displaying his firearm, which he is allowed to do under Arizona law. What happened next set into motion a series of events that changed Barry's life forever. A struggle ensued when Barry's attacker jumped on top of him, and Barry's gun discharged. And even though Barry had acted within Arizona's self-defense laws, he found himself arrested, incarcerated, and wrongfully indicted on a series of devastating accusations, including attempted murder and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. With the help of his attorneys, however, Barry gathered evidence and filed motions to support his case, and though it would take 7 years and multiple grand jury proceedings for the truth to finally prevail, the court did clear Barry of all charges, and he stands today a free man. He recounts his ordeal in a new book called Stand Your Ground, One Man's Self-Defense Nightmare, which we'll tell you more about in just a second. Barry, Todd, welcome to our program.
Well, thank you for having me.
And thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you. Thank you. It was an honor.
Besides the real-life Richard Kimball angle, your story appeals to me, and you would have no way of knowing this. About 20 years ago, I worked on a book about a husband and wife who had an open and shut case against the man who murdered their son. And yet, because of a series of delays and other legal maneuvers by the defense attorney on the case, it took 8 years for this couple to finally have their day in court. They learned the hard way that the criminal justice system does not always protect the innocent, and in many respects, that is central to your story as well.
Oh, I couldn't agree more, Ed. The underlying system is, even though the courts work well, I must say that up front, the underlying system is broken in many ways because of how the system is set up. You are no longer presumed innocent until proven guilty. Over the last decades, it's flipped. You are now presumed guilty until proven innocent.
I'm just shaking my head at the thought of that. It gives me chills, and it makes me. I mean, you were fortunate in the sense that you had the resources to hire the best people possible to defend yourself to the fullest. Not everybody is in that position. I mean, which I guess speaks to one of the things that you started as a result of your ordeal, is that you started a nonprofit organization that can help people who don't have the financial resources you do, so that if they're faced with a situation as you faced, they're able to, there's hope for them.
Yes, that's exactly what we did, and all the profits from the book are going to that foundation, and it's called Defense Resources Foundation, because you assume that the system is equal, so that way you're able to defend yourself, but it's not. The government has unlimited funds, and once they get on a path, they're heading in that path, and you have to have the resources and able to defend yourself. And we both heard that term out there, if you have money, you're going to get set free. Well, it's not that if you have money, you're going to get set free or not found guilty, it's because you're able to buy or purchase the best defense. And we need to get this into regular Americans' hands, because if you look back 100 years ago, it didn't cost that much to defend yourself. Now it's exorbitant.
Barry Todd is on the line with us. Barry is the author of Stand Your Ground, a first-hand look at the emotional and financial toll of defending oneself within a flawed judicial system, which Barry had to do in 2014 after he was wrongfully incarcerated on charges of attempted murder and aggravated assault, and how Barry's experience ultimately fueled his determination to help others by forming the nonprofit organization he just told us about, the Defense Resources Foundation. Barry founded the Defense Resources Foundation to make sure that other people who find themselves in his shoes will receive a fair shot at the judicial system. For more about the Defense Resources Foundation, go to defenseresourcesfoundation.org. Barry's book, Stand Your Ground, available Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, StandYourGroundBook.com. After you completed your service to our country, you made your living as a financial advisor, and you had started a company, if I remember correctly, around 2008. And, it took a while. There are ups and downs, as there are with starting any company. And the irony is you and your company had just turned a very important corner financially in February 2014 when all of this unfortunately happened. I mean, not to minimize your unlawful arrest, but how did you navigate the effect that had on your company?
One, I have to thank my team and God right up front. It was unbelievable, Ed. We lost no clients through this entire ordeal, with the exception of one that actually worked that was a police officer under the YPD, and she was ordered to leave my firm by the Yuma Police Department. And then my team jumped into motion and put in place our succession plan. And it was a beautiful thing, and then all the resources that we were bringing in went for my defense, because it was clear when you have the entire thing on video, but the police refuse to use the video. It's pretty shocking to the soul. It just rocks you to the core that they're taking eyewitness testimony that's only 20% accurate at the time over live video footage from 16 cameras that were in and around the restaurant. It's just unbelievable.
Well, and to underscore that point, Barry takes several screen captures from the video footage and illustrates step by step what happened on that night in February 2014. You can see it for yourself in the pages of Barry's book, Stand Your Ground, One Man's Self-Defense Nightmare, which you can find Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, wherever books are sold online, as well as StandYourGroundBook.com. If I remember correctly, Barry, about a month into your ordeal, despite the indignity of spending a week in jail, despite the indignity of finding that the police were blatantly disregarding the video evidence that proved your innocence, and despite temporarily losing control of your own company, your lawyer gave you what struck me as very sound advice. If I remember correctly, he said, to the extent you can, act like this didn't happen. Do not act like a criminal because you have nothing to hide. Now, that's sound advice for me, but I can't imagine it was easy for you to follow at the time, was it?
No, sir. That was so hard because you're always wondering, are people looking at you? You always have that underlying gut feeling, oh, there's that murderer. Those thoughts are just running through your head no matter where you are at all the time. And you have to believe in yourself, and the good thing was is I knew that I followed the law.
Not only do you have to believe in yourself, you have to believe in your legal team, and I may say you have to believe in your faith, that God is somehow going to carry you through this, even though you don't know how he's going to carry you through this at the time you're going through it.
Amen, brother. Amen. I mean, people have, I was already faithful, but, going through an ordeal like this just strengthens your faith so much. There were so many times when it first started, I would just walk around my office building outside, whether I was in the California one or the Yuma one, and I would just wail at the Lord, and then I would go back and just open the book and read and pray, and without that faith, knowing that he had a purpose for this, I would have never made it through it.
I can't imagine you saw this then, but just reading your story, the night you were arrested, and you spent you ended up spending about a week in jail, but that first night, one of the people at the jail wheeled out a cart of books, and one of the books was the Bible. When I look at that, it seemed that seemed like a bit of providence.
Oh yes, I grabbed it immediately and started reading. And one of my favorite books in the Bible is Proverbs. Mm-hmm. And it just took me right to Proverbs 21:15, and it's a beautiful statement. I actually have it on my websites now and on my social media stuff, and it also pushed me out more to speak of my faith, whether it's in my commercial website, my commercial company, or my nonprofits, or even put God first, because God is the hallmark that will get you through any ordeal. He can move mountains.
Barry Todd is the author of Stand Your Ground, One Man's Self-Defense Nightmare, a first-hand look at the emotional and financial toll of defending yourself within a flawed judicial system, which Barry had to do in 2014 after he was wrongfully incarcerated on charges of attempted murder and aggravated assault, and how that ordeal ultimately fueled Barry's decision to help others through the Defense Resources Foundation, the nonprofit organization that Barry founded to make sure other people receive a fair chance within the judicial system, particularly if they don't have the financial resources to defend themselves. For more about Defense Resources Foundation, defenseresourcesfoundation.org. Stand Your Ground, Barry's book, available Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, StandYourGroundBook.com. And the remarkable thing about your story is that one does not have to undergo an ordeal such as you did to appreciate your story, Barry, because everybody knows what it's like to be accused of something you didn't do.
That's exactly right. It's unbelievable in how people will react to what they hear without knowing the facts. My social media blew up, and then my kids tried to defend me, and I had to actually back them off and say, stop. The truth will come out. God will allow the truth to come out. You don't need to do that. And people immediately jump to conclusions, especially when it comes to judicial issues, because they don't know how the system works. They don't realize that in a grand jury, there is no defense. There is no judge. It's the prosecutor's playground. There's a term that they use in the legal system that says you can indict a ham sandwich in a grand jury. And that's exactly right, because the prosecutor goes in there and he can present whatever he does or does not want to present. A perfect example of that recently that everybody heard about all over the American news system is Daniel Penny in New York, the Marine that was on the subway. That he should have never gone to trial in the first place. And if the prosecutor in that case had presented all the video evidence and the eyewitnesses to the grand jury, they would have come out with a no bill on the indictment. But instead, he withheld that information from the grand jury so he could take it to trial, because people don't understand. Most prosecutors are elected. So they go with whichever way their constituents are pushing them. And this is not a red-blue thing or a Republican-Democrat thing. This is an American issue.
Stand Your Ground, available Amazon.com, BarnesNoble.com, StandYourGroundBook.com. Barry Todd, the author of Stand Your Ground, on the line with us. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back. One more item. If you're starting a company, particularly one that is in an emerging market, you know that averting any sort of legal dispute is crucial to your business plan. Our friends at Tectonic Law offer an array of services that can help you avoid and preempt future litigation while also developing and protecting your intellectual property and intangible assets. Tectonic Law serves the needs of a host of emerging industries throughout California and beyond, including industrial designers, beverage makers, artists, farmers, retail stores, health practitioners, wellness experts, cosmetics manufacturers, nonprofit organizations, innovators in sustainable practices, and libraries. Go to tectoniclaw.com to learn more about how Tectonic Law can help your business thrive. tectoniclaw.com. Rock solid representation for groundbreaking industries.
This portion of TV Confidential is brought to us by our friends at Front Porch Realty, the community of realtors in the Northern Bay area of California that is committed to finding the solution that is best for their clients. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or looking to sell or lease your property in Northern California, call Karen Strain at 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com for more information on how they can help you.
Ed Robertson, thanking you for listening to the TV Confidential podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit the subscribe button so that you won't miss our next episode.
Hi, this is Nicholas Hammond, and you're listening to TV Confidential.
Without giving too much away, Barry, because I would like people to read your book and absorb themselves in all the details themselves, but without giving too much away, when did the tide start to turn for you? What was the moment when you felt like there was finally light at the end of the tunnel?
After the third grand jury proceeding, about within 1 to 2 days after the third grand jury proceeding, when my attorneys finally understood what I was saying. It was shocking, and my attorney, Michael Kimmer, who's now deceased, a wonderful man, he had not made himself abreast of the updates to the laws in Arizona.
Wow.
And yet that's what everybody was being taught that was licensed to carry. And so he was trying to defend me based on old laws, and I kept telling him for months, I was trained on this, and he in my CCW training, and he would say, well, that's not the law. And finally I had to sit him down after that and say, read this law. And he had never read it, and he read through it twice, and then he goes, hold on, let me call you back in 24 hours. He called me back in 24 hours with the whole legal team there, apologizing to me, telling me that he had not made himself aware of these new laws, and then completely turned the corner, and it really threw the prosecutor back on his heels, which was really awesome. And then we found out that the prosecutor didn't know the laws, and neither did the lead detective.
There's an approach to healthcare that has become pretty much been the way we do things the last 40 years. It's called the patient active concept. Once upon a time, if you were diagnosed with cancer, you had to rely on your doctor or the information from your doctor, and it was a very hierarchical relationship. In the last 40 years, patients have become much more active in the information available to them related to their own health and medical issues in general, and the internet has played a big part in that. If I'm listening to you correctly, Barry, I don't know if there's a client active concept in the legal system, and in your case it sounds like there ought to be, because the fact that you took an active role in your defense, and in some cases educating your own lawyer on the law. I mean, if you had not done that, who knows where you'd be right now.
You're exactly right, and that's the way in everything we deal with in life. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's not only healthcare. I mean, are you going to let somebody come in and cut your lawn the way you don't want it to? I mean, it's the same concept. You have to take an active role.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to hold your doctor or your attorney or whoever's working for you accountable. Remember, you are paying the bills. You're the one that's writing the checks.
Is there anything else about your book, Stand Your Ground, Barry, that you'd like our listeners to know about that I have not asked you already?
Just that, remember, our Constitution is written that you are to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. We have to get involved and start within each individual state and start looking at these laws that have been passed to provide more safety, because now they've flipped the system, and I don't care what state you're in, you're seeing it across the country where people are being incarcerated without enough proof because of the way the system has been turned upside down. Get involved and start helping your fellow Americans. God said it best in Isaiah 1:17. It's our job to help those that can't help themselves. Now, I'm paraphrasing, but there God is more specific in talking about orphans and widows and the downtrodden and the poor. It's our job to help people. Let's start helping our fellow Americans.
Barry Todd is the author of Stand Your Ground. Stand Your Ground, One Man Self-Defense Nightmare, available Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, StandYourGroundBook.com. He is also the founder of the Defense Resources Foundation, nonprofit organization that ensures that other people receive a fair chance in the justice system regardless of their financial resources. DefenseResourcesFoundation.org, DefenseResourcesFoundation.org, as well as StandYourGroundBook.com. Barry Todd, thank you so much for joining us. Continued success with your book and your efforts to help people through Defense Resources Foundation.
God bless you all. Thank you, Ed, for having me on. It was an honor. I'm very humbled. Thank you.
We'll be back with more TV Confidential right after this.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-239-0201. 800-239-0201. That's 800-239-0201.